So, welcome to all of you in lecture 16. In this lecture, we discuss some numerical problems of first law of thermodynamics in a closed system case. So, in the last lecture, we already discussed basic theory of first law of thermodynamics in a case of closed system. So, today we discuss some problem. So, first question is, this is the solid example of Engineering Thermodynamics book by P.K. Nag. The question is that the internal energy of a certain substance is given by the following equation. Wait. Yes. The internal energy of a certain substance is given by following equation. The equation is U equals to 3.56 PV plus 84, where U is given in kilojoule per kg, P is in kilopascal, and V is in meter cube per kg. A system composed of 3 kg of this substance expands from an initial pressure of 500 kilopascal and a volume of 0.22 meter cube to a final pressure of 100 kilopascal in a process in which pressure and volumes are related by PV to the power 1.2 equals to constant. So in the first part, if the expansion is a quasi-static, find Q, delta U and W for this process. In another process, the same system expands according to the same pressure-volume relationship as in part A, and from the same initial state to the same final state as in part A, but the heat transfer in this case is 30 kilojoule. Find the work transfer for this process. And in the last part, this question is asking about explain the difference in work transfer in part A and part B. So this is the problem. So firstly, we write given values of parameter. Okay. So let us see. So in this problem, we given relationship of internal energy. This is small u equals to 3.56 PV plus 84. Here small u is internal energy. Okay. So units are given. Here U is in kilojoule per kg. Pressure in kilopascal and volume is in meter cube per kg. That means it is a specific volume. Okay. And this is internal energy term, small u, that is also specific internal energy because it is given as kilojoule per kg and it is representing by small letter. I already explained that if any property is representing by in a small English alphabet, then we can say that it is a specific property. Okay. So this is the given relationship of internal energy inside this problem. So another thing is a given that system having something mass 3 kg, okay, and its initial pressure that is P1 is given as 500 kilopascal and initial volume is given as 0.22 meter cube, that is volume V1. This is given as 0.22 meter cube to a final pressure 100 kilopascal P2 is given as 100 kilopascal, okay, by relationship PV to the power 1.2 equals to constant. PV to the power 1.2 equals to constant. Okay. So in the first part, question is asking about in expansion, if quasi-static process, quasi-static, that means the process which is changing state from 1 to 2, this is changing pressure value from P1 to P2 and V1 to V2. This relationship is treated like a quasi-static. Okay, in a quasi-static manner, this process is happening. Then find Q, delta U and W for this particular process. That means the state in which changing from state 1 to state 2, we have to find values of heat transfer, change in internal energy, and the work transfer. Okay, so this is a specific volume in this problem. So if we want to calculate this internal energy, change in internal energy for a process, this process 1 to 2. So what is relationship given in this problem? That is U equals to 3.56 PV plus 84. Okay, so if we write U1, this is equal to 3.56 P1 V1 plus 84, and U2, that is equal to 3.56 P2 V2 plus 84. So if we want to calculate this delta U for changing state 1 to 2, then we simply find delta U for this process. This is equal to U2 minus U1. So if we separate these values, we can see that 84 terms will be removed, and the final expansion we get, that is equal to 3.56 P2 V2 minus P1 V1. We get this expansion. So in this problem, if we want to calculate this value delta U, we must know these 4 parameters, that is P1, V1, P2 and V2. But the given parameters in this problem are P1, V1 and P2. So that means we have to calculate value of V2 by this expansion before solving this change in internal energy. Okay, so if we adopt this expansion for particular change of these states, so relationship is P1 V1 to the power 1.2 equals to P2 V2 to the power 1.2. Okay, so we have to solve this expansion for finding value of V2. So expression is like that: P1 upon P2 and V1 to the power 1.2 whole power (1 upon 1.2). So this is the expansion for getting volume of state 2. Okay, so if we solve, if we put values, what is P1 value? That is 500 upon what is P2 value? That is 100. What is V1 value? That is 0.22. whole power 1 upon 1.2 V2. So if we solve in this expansion, we get final value of V2 that is equal to approximate 845 meter cube per kg. This is the V2 value. Okay. So after getting this value, now if we put this value in this equation A, we get change in internal energy and process 1 to 2. Okay. So if we put this value by equation A, we get delta U is equal to, we put this value 3.56. What is P2? P2 is given as 100 multiplied by V2. V2 is 0.845 minus P1. What is P1 value? That is 500. V1. What is P1 value? V1 value? That is equal to 0.22. So if we solve this equation, we get change in internal energy for a particular process. So this is equal to minus 91 kilojoule. Okay. So this is about change in internal energy for a process. So we get this term now. Now we are moving towards calculating work done in this process, W. Okay. So by this equation, we can say that it is a polytropic process. Okay. Polytropic process, that means exponential constant value is a lie between 1 to 1.4. That is for air. Okay. So it is a process which is a lie between isothermal process and pure adiabatic process. Okay. Something amount of heat is leaking in this process. So for polytropic process, we know if this polytropic process is quasi-static process, so we can assume work done expression PdV, and if we put values, limits P1 and V1 and P2 and V2 in this expansion, so we already get this expansion P1 V1 minus P2 V2 upon n minus 1. We already discussed this expression in third chapter, that is work and heat transfer. Okay. So this is the expression for this particular process. So if we put values, pressure, volume, P2, V2 and N, here N is 1.2. This N is a representing exponential constant. So if we solve this value, that is W equals to 100, P1 value is 1 minute, that is value is 500. Here P1 value is 500. So if we put values 500 multiplied by V1, here V1 is 0.22 minus P2. What is P2 value? That is 100 multiplied by 0.845 upon N. What is N value? That is 1.2 minus 1. So if we solve this expansion, we get final value that is equal to 127.5 kilojoule. Okay. So by this way, we can calculate work done during change in state from 1 to 2. Okay. And now, final one, we have to calculate what is the value of Q. So if we apply first law of thermodynamics for a process, what is this? If we consider process 1 to 2, so if we adopt first law of thermodynamics for this particular process, so expression is Q1 to 2, that is equal to delta U for 1 to 2 plus W 1 to 2. Okay, this is the expression for this particular process. So we have already calculated this change in internal energy delta U for this state change. This is equal to delta U is equal to minus 91 and plus W12 to 2, that is equal to 127.5. Okay, so if we solve this expression, we get final value of Q. So here in this problem, we get final value of Q, that is equal to 36.5 kilojoule. That is equal to, if we solve, separate this value, we get 36.5 kilojoule. That is value of Q in this problem. So we get this Q value, we get this W value, and we get this delta U value. So this is all about solving method of first part of this problem. This is the answer, this is the answer, and this is the answer. Okay. Now we move towards second part. In second part, question is asking that, I again showing you problem. Yes, this is second part. In another process, the same system expands according to the same pressure volume relationship as in given first part, like PV to the power 1.2 equals to constant. And from the same initial state to same final state, that means P1, V1 and P2, P2 are the same. So, but if the heat transfer in this case is 30 kilojoule, that means in the first part heat transfer is not given, but in this second part heat transfer is given, that is equal to 30 kilojoule. Find the work transfer for this process. So what is the difference between A part and B part? The difference between A part and B part is that in A part we don't know about value of Q, but in a B part, here question telling that heat transfer in this process is 30 kilojoule. So we have to calculate work transfer corresponding to heat transfer 30 kilojoule. Okay, so this is the difference between A part and B part. So see that. We know that work transfer is a path function and change in internal energy, that is the point function. Okay, so maybe in the first part, if we draw PV diagram, so these are the states. In the first part, if we moving like that, assume if we moving like that, because initial volume is 0.22 and the final volume we have calculated here, that is equal to 0.845. That means it is a expansion process. So we can say this is a 1 and this is a 2. So this is the path for a first process. But in a second process, these states are same. Initial and final states are same. But the difference is that in a first part, we have calculated amount of heat is equal to 36.5 kilojoule. But in a B part, this is a given that here amount of heat is 30 kilojoule. This is a given. That means we know that heat and work both are depends upon path history. That means in spite of that and states are same, this process is happening to a different path. That means this is a process for A and maybe this is a process for B. Okay. So if path is changing, then that means heat and work transfer, heat transfer and work transfer, both value will be changed. But internal energy change is the same for these two processes because internal energy change is depend upon end state only. And since these two paths having same end states, that's why delta E for these two processes, delta U for these two processes are same. Okay. So if we want to calculate work done from 1 to 2 through B process and given QB is 30 kilojoule and delta U is the same like A path because end states are same. So it is equal to, in the last photo we have already calculated this delta U, that is equal to minus 91 kilojoule. Okay. So simply we adopt first law of thermodynamics for a process. So we can write this expression QB equals to delta U for B. This delta U for B is the same like delta U for A path plus W for B. Okay. So we have these values 30 minus delta UB, that is minus minus plus 91. And by calculating this value, this is equal to 121 kilojoule for WB. Okay. So this is the work done for the B part. Okay. So it is a different from first part. We already calculate first part work done, that is equal to 127.5 kilojoule. So we can clearly see that WA does not equal to WB because path is changing. Okay. In the last part, question is asking, explain the difference in work transfer in parts A and B. So question is asking, what is the difference? What is the reason? What is the cause? By this WA does not equal to WB. We know that, okay, parts are different. That's why work transfer is different. And another powerful reason behind this aspect that WA does not equal to WB, that is, in an A part, assumption is a given that process is quasi-static. But in B part, this assumption is not given. So this is the main reason behind that WA does not equal to WB. So we can see that B part is not a quasi-static process. That's why it is this work WB is not equal to integration of PdV work for same end states 1 to 2. PdV work, integration of PdV is only valid in the case of quasi-static process. Okay. So this is our first problem. Now we move towards second problem. Okay. So second problem is unsolved problem. One student asking this problem, the question is that this is the 4.1 problem of PK Nagan solved. An engine is tested by means of a water brake at 1000 RPM. The measure torque of the engine is 1000 Newton meter and the water consumption of the brake is 0.5 meter cube per second. Its inlet temperature being 20 degrees centigrade. Calculate the water temperature at exit, assuming that the whole of the engine power is ultimately transferred into heat, which is absorbed by the cooling water. Okay, so this is the problem. Before solving this problem, firstly, we have to understand what is this water brake hydrometer. Okay, what is this device? So see, this what is this device? What is its working? What is water brake dynamometer roll inside the IC engine? Okay. If an engine is operating, okay, so we can retard its speed through a mechanical dynamometer, that means applying mechanical brakes, through applying fluid brakes like water. Okay, so hydraulic dynamometer it is a device in which, suppose this is an engine, okay, and this is the engine power shaft. Okay, this is the shaft. So if we operate this engine, okay, by consuming fuel, so this shaft is a rotating. Okay, this is the engine. This shaft is rotating. Okay, if we connect this engine shaft through a coupling with hydraulic dynamometer, so what happened? This is the engine side, or this is the hydraulic dynamometer shaft. Okay, and this is the coupling. So if we combine these two shafts through a coupling, then what is the role of this hydraulic dynamometer? Actually, hydraulic dynamometer is trying to resist the motion of this engine shaft. Okay, so if engine shaft is moving in the direction of clockwise, then hydraulic dynamometer is trying to rotate this engine shaft in anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so what is the need of this operation? Actually, if we want to calculate power performance of an engine, then we use this type of setup. By this, we adopt hydraulic dynamometer brakes through different engine speeds, and we calculate how much fuel consumption is taking place inside the engine on these different RPM speed on these different brake applications. Okay, so you can say that through hydraulic dynamometer application, we can calculate, we can practically see actual performance of a engine. Okay, so in a which manner this hydraulic dynamometer produce resistance in the motion of engine shaft. So here I am showing you that engine shaft, if rotating in a clockwise direction, hydraulic dynamometer is trying to rotate it in an anti-clockwise direction. That's why something resistance is offering in the rotation of engine shaft. So this hydraulic dynamometer is rotating through a water supply. Okay, here we apply some cooling water which having temperature Ti, and from outlet we get water TF. So inside the hydraulic dynamometer, there are some rotation of this water flow which trying to rotate in opposite direction of engine rotation shaft. Okay, so due to friction, if brakes is applied inside the hydraulic dynamometer, so definitely there will be heat produced. So due to this friction, heat is produced, and that's why this water temperature will becomes high. So we can say that final water temperature is higher in compared to initial water temperature. Okay, due to application of brakes, and that's why there is a friction producing, and friction, that is the main cause of heat generated inside the hydraulic dynamometer. We have this setup in our IC engine lab. Okay, so when college will open, you can see this setup in IC engine lab. Okay, by this setup we can calculate engine performance on different speed and different external applied torque. Okay, so this is the setup about hydraulic dynamometer. So this question is based on this. So now we move towards our problem. So problem is very easy. In this problem, we know that yes, an engine is tested by means of a water brake at 1000 RPM. We know engine shaft rotation, that is 1000 RPM. Okay, and major torque of the engine is 10,000 Newton meter. Torque is given 10,000 Newton meter. Okay, water consumption of the brake is 0.5 meter cube per second. I am already telling you that hydraulic dynamometer offering resistance in against the direction of engine shaft motion through water supply. So what is water supply rate in this problem? That is given as volume flow rate is equal to 0.5 meter cube per second. This is the water supply rate inside the hydraulic dynamometer. Okay, so the inlet temperature, that means Ti for water, is given as 20 degrees centigrade. Calculate the water temperature at exit. Obviously it is higher in compared to initial temperature. Assuming that whole of the engine power is utilized transferring into heat which is absorbed by the cooling water. So this is our problem. So we know that here, according to first law of thermodynamics, energy is neither be created nor be destroyed. It can just only change from one state to another state. So here, friction energy, friction heat is equal to क्या होगा? That is equal to heat absorbing by water inside water brake. Okay. So what is this friction heat? This friction heat is the index of this torque and rotation. So we know that P equals to power equals to torque multiplied by omega. Here T, that is the torque, and omega, that is the angular velocity of the shaft. So if we relate this expansion, so we can write omega is equal to 2 pi n by 60, because here n is a given in rotation per minute. So if we want to convert this in per second unit, so we have to divide this term with 60. So if we put these values, we get, what is T value? That is 10,000 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3.14 multiplied by n is at 1000 rpm divided by 60. Okay, and this value, this is the power, which is the index of friction, because by this power this engine is trying to rotate. So if we want to prevent this rotation of engine, then we have to apply same power against the motion of this engine rotation through water brakes. So we have to apply same power through water brakes. Okay, and water brakes generate this power through the supply of water. Okay, so if we are successfully prevent the motion of engine, okay, that means we offering same friction power inside the water brakes. So that means if this value is equal to heat generated inside the water brake due to friction, that is equal to mCp delta T. That is the m, that is the mass of supply of water. Cp, that is the specific heat of water, and delta T, that is the temperature change. So if we solve this expansion, we get values 1.0472 into 10 to the power 3, that is unit in watt, that is equal to mass of water. Mass equals to volume into density. So here volume is a given 0.5, that is a volume, multiplied by density of water, that is 1000 kg per meter cube, that is density. Okay, this is the water, and this is equal to mass of water. Okay, multiply by, this is the mass, specific heat of water, that is equal to 4.2, 4.2 kilojoule per kg Kelvin, that is 4.2, multiply by delta T. So delta T, what is delta T value here? That is equal to T final minus T initial. T initial is given, that is 20 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is about expression. Here I'm considering this value. This value is in kilowatt. That's why we using specific heat of water 4.2 kilojoule per kg Kelvin. Okay, so if we solve this expansion, by solving we get T minus 20, that is equal to 0.4986, and if we find T final, that is equal to approximate 20.5 degree centigrade. Okay, so this is the final answer of this problem. Okay, so this is our second problem. Now we're moving towards our third problem. So what is our third problem? A piston and cylinder machine contains a fluid system which passing through a complete cycle of 4 processes. During a cycle, the sum of all heat transfer is minus 170 kilojoule. The system complete 100 cycles per minute. Calculate the following table showing the method for each item and compute the net rate of work output in kilowatt. So firstly, we write given quantities of this problem. So this is the table. Process Q kilojoule per minute and W kilojoule per minute. Okay, and delta E kilojoule per minute. This is also per minute. Okay, so if we put values of this table, these are for process A to B. Process A to B, Q value is 0, and that is 2170. And this is the fill in the blank. We have to solve this value. We have to calculate this value. B to C, that is 21,000. This is 0. And again, we have to solve for value of delta E. C to D, that is minus 2100 kilojoule per minute. We have to solve for getting value of W. And this is given minus 36,600. And for D2A, this is the fill in the blank, this is the fill in the blank, and this is the fill in the blank. And inside the problem, this is a given that the sum of all heat transfer is minus 70 kilojoule. That means delta Q, summation sigma Q is equal to minus 170 kilojoule. That means QA to B plus QB to C plus QC to D plus QD to A, that is given as minus 170 kilojoule, and system completes 100 cycles per minute. That means in a 1 minute, this system rotates 100 times. So we have to find missing values inside table and also calculate net rate of work output. That means we have to solve for getting value of W in this problem. Okay, that means W for A to B plus W B to C plus W C to D plus W D to A. Okay, so this is the given quantities in this problem. Now we consider firstly process A to B. Process A to B. So if we apply first law of thermodynamics for a process, we know that Q for A to B, that is equal to delta U for, here delta U is delta E, because here we are talking about total energy stored inside the system. We are not talking about just internal energy stored inside the system. So we consider this delta E for A to B plus W for A to B. Okay. So here Q is 0. Delta E, here I am solving that. Q A to B, that is 0, is equal to delta E for A to B, that is equal to, we have to solve this term, plus W A to B is given 2170. So simply we find this value delta E A to B, that is equal to minus 2170 kilojoule per minute. Okay, this is our first. So we can write this value here, minus 2170. Okay, we can write this. Now we move towards second process. Process B to C. What is this process B to C? here Q is a given, W is a given, and we have to find delta E. Again, we use this expression Q B to C delta E B to C plus W B to C, that is equal to, what is Q B to C? Is 21,000. Delta E B to C, we have to find, and W B to C, that is equal to 0. So what is value? Delta E B to C, that is equal to 2100 kilojoule per minute. Okay, so we find this value here, that is 21000. Okay, so that's all. Now process C to D. Here we know value Q, so Q C to D delta E C to D plus W C to D. This is the process. If we put values here, so what is Q C to D? That is equal to minus 2100, okay, is equal to delta E C to D. Delta E C to D is given, not given, plus W is minus 3660. Okay, so if we solve this value, we get delta A C to D, that is equal to sorry, some mistake is here. Here in this problem, second column is representing W. Okay, so here we know delta E value, that is equal to minus 3660, and we have to find W value. Okay, so what is W C to D? That is, by calculating, we get value W C to D, that is 34,500 kilojoule per minute. So by this, we get this value W C to D plus 34,500. Okay. Now in the D to A process, we have to solve all the values. Okay. So we know that here sigma Q is a given. What is this sigma Q? Sigma Q, that is the summation of all heat transfer in individual process. So if we talk about sigma Q, I write this term here. What is sigma Q? Sigma Q is QA to B plus QB to C plus QC to D plus QT to A. Okay, and this is given as 170 kilojoule. Okay, but this is a 170 kilojoule, this is the absolute value, and here we are using these all values in kilojoule per minute. So if we want to calculate this Q value in kilojoule per minute, then we have to multiply this term with N, because here N representing 100 cycles per minute. Okay, and this Q is a 170 kilojoule heat transfer in one cycle. Okay, so if we want to calculate net amount of heat transfer in per minute, so we have to multiply 100 by this single this heat transfer corresponding to single cycle. So what is this? Sigma Q in kilojoule per minute, that is equal to 170 multiplied by 100. Okay, this is the sigma Q, and then put values QA to be, that is 0, 21000 minus 2100 and plus QD2A. By solving this, we can calculate amount of heat transfer in D2A process. This is equal to minus 35,900 kilojoule per minute in QD2A. Okay, so this is the expansion for QD2A. For minus 35,900, we get this heat transfer in this problem. Now we can fill this place minus 35,000. So if we want to calculate this delta E value, then we know that this is a cyclic process. How we know? A to B, B to C, C to D, and D to A. Again, we move towards A. So that means it is a cyclic process. And for cyclic process, summation of all delta E, dE, that must be equal to 0. Okay. So if we sum all this energy, change in energy contents, then for a whole cycle, that summation must be equal to 0. So for getting a known value in the last term, we using this term delta E for cycle, that is equal to 0, and that is equal to E A to B plus delta E B to C plus delta E for C to D plus delta E D to E. We have to find this term. Okay, all values are given. By putting these values through this table, we can find delta E for D to A. So this value is equal to, in this problem, delta E for D to A, delta E for D to A, that is equal to 17,770 kilojoule per minute. Okay, this is the value. Now the final term is, we have to know the value of work W. So if simply we adopt for D2A process, first law of thermodynamics for a process Q D2A, that is equal to delta U for D2A, sorry, delta E for D2A plus W D2A. So we get final value. So what is W D2A? Delta E D2A, we know that this value. Q D2A, we know that this value, minus 35,900. We finally get value of this W D2A. Okay. By solving this, you can get this final value of work done in a D2A process. So this is a value is equal to W D2A is equal to minus 53,670 kilojoule per minute. Okay, this is W D2A. Okay, the final one is the rate of work output. Question is asking. So we know that for the first law of thermodynamics, for a cycle, if we adopt, we know that sigma Q equals to sigma W. Okay, but this is same like sigma Q value. So what is sigma Q value? Per minute, that is equal to 170 multiplied by 100. That is equal to sigma W. So this is the final term, final answer. That is the rate of net rate work output of this cycle in kilojoule per minute, that is 120 multiplied by 1000. So this is the third question of today. So by these three problems, you can able to solve first law of thermodynamics problem in a closed system process. So after this, we will start first law of thermodynamics for an open system in a next lecture. Okay, thank you very much.